I don't see anybody doing that. If it was my way, that's the way it would go. And I think they should both be tried as adults.
Bob Schuler, a good friend and neighbor of Santy's, says there's no question in his mind as to the punishment for this crime.
They should have life with no parole. With no parole whatsoever. The community's pretty close. I don't think they better put them on parole at all, because I don't think they'll make it back to court. That's people's feelings out here.
Along with Schuler's bitterness comes a great deal of sadness.
It won't be the same without him here living next door to him. It'll never be the same. Whoever takes over the farm, I don't know.
Kids choosing kids as role models. It's a frightening thought. Ask anybody who's done it. Ended up on the streets and in a heap of trouble. These young women learned their lesson the hard way. Like the majority of those we surveyed, they chose friends over parents as a primary role model.
When I was out there, I did a lot of things to impress my friends, and I wasn't myself, you know. And that's why I got into trouble a lot. And just being yourself is better than trying to be someone you're not.
I just think that nowadays there's a lot going on with the gangs and the drugs and the violence, and you know, that some kids just don't know where to go and know where to turn, and a lot of them get mixed up in you know, the gangs and the drugs, and they don't even care anymore to look up to anyone. All they care about is you know, getting what they want.
Psychologist Mary Steiner works with troubled teens on a daily basis. She understands why peers play such an important role in their lives.
Once you hit about 12, 13, it just is not cool to have any kind of an adult figure to have as a role model.
Another top response in our survey that Steiner found alarming was that for many Northland teens, no one served as a role model.
And that scares me, that there's nobody that young women, as growing up, have to look to. Who are they going to model themselves after? Who are they going to be?
Steiner says this is an issue that needs to be addressed. Role models are essential for young people today. Janine Johnson, News 6.
Persons have come in and they've indicated that they've suffered things such as headaches, dizziness, sore throats, oncoming of asthma. A lot of persons have come in and they've have a lot of anxiety as a result of the spill.
What kind of timeline we're working on with this?
Pressure on him, and you know, if he vetoes the bill, we could always try to go so the $160 million of property.
You know, the governor threatening to veto that it's an incredible decision that he'd be making.
Why would he want to protect the millionaires of this state who have had most of the benefits over the past decade at the expense of the middle-income people of this state? And I would hope he would reconsider what he's been saying about my proposal. Middle-income and low-income people need tax relief, and the wealthy have not been paying their share and can pay more.
So do you think, what are the chances of him changing his mind are at this point? Until recently, you could find Bob Heller here at UMD's Center for Economic Development, sitting behind his desk, ready to counsel others to business ownership and success.
That suddenly they've gotten tired of being bossed around, or they've got this idea that they think is neat and they want to make some money at it. Then they take the step to move ahead.
After 6 years at the center, Bob decided to take his own advice.
And then squirrels, what they do is they come up the post and they crawl up underneath.
Today, he can be found here at his new business, Wild Birds Unlimited, demonstrating the latest in bird feeders. That's right, bird feeders. And he's enjoying every minute of it and encourages others to follow his lead.
You know, they should strike out what are their dreams and they should go after those dreams.
A lot of folks are seeing their dreams become reality. According to Inc. magazine, the number of businesses in the U.S. rose 54% in the 1980s. Population grew by just 10%. In 1990, the Internal Revenue Service counted almost 4.5 million corporations, almost 2 million partnerships, and 14 million sole proprietorships. An obvious question for anyone considering their own business is, what business?
Something that they are willing to commit themselves to.
Catherine Forsland does what Bob Heller used to do, and while she points out people must be committed, there's more to starting a business than just that.
That they will take the risk, they will do the work that's involved. A specific line of business, I can't say. There's a lot of opportunities out there, but you just have to do your homework and know where they are.
Well, what you need, of course, is an idea for a product or a service that somebody is willing to buy at the price that you're asking.
The idea for a business is important, but perhaps even more critical, how do you know if it's the right time?
I think there's great opportunity out there. I don't care if it's in computers, I don't care if it's in food, whatever it is, especially now with these large conglomerates. The larger they have become, the more vulnerable they are.
Advice that at least one new Northland entrepreneur is taking to heart.
Absolutely. I think service is the name of the game in the coming years. Those people are willing to serve their clients. For example, we here carry our bird seed right out to people's cars. In other places, you go in and you got to lug it out yourself, or you got to ask for help. We don't wait for that.
According to Inc. magazine, even these uncertain economic times can spell success for people willing to start a new business. Here in the Northland, startup capital is readily available.
Someone could come into Duluth, go over to the City Hall with Mayor Vidoti, and get an application for that $500,000 that's available, okay?
A loan?
At a very low interest loan. He can go over to the St. Louis County, if he's got a good, or she got a good product idea, get $500,000 from them.
Northeastern Minnesota, hit hard in recent years by recession, has responded quite well to the needs of creating new business. This book here lists dozens and dozens of organizations on the state, federal, and local levels, all willing to give money to startup of those small business ideas, including the Northeastern Minnesota Initiative Fund.
The primary obstacles with respect to securing financing is, first of all, you have to have a good business plan. You have to have a good idea that will sell. Obviously, it has to be well planned out. You have to demonstrate that you have the management ability and so forth to pull it off.
Now, if that sounds like you, then the Initiative Fund or a similar organization may be willing to give you a low-interest loan. That loan could be used as leverage with your local banker for even more funding. But this quick warning, if you are planning to use funding, be prepared to put up your own money. That's right, risk your own money for this business venture.
Expansion plans for Giants Ridge Recreation Area have been on the back burner since its inception, so the addition of a golf course came as no surprise to Director Mike Gentile.
It is a major undertaking, but we've been looking at this now for about 2 years and through the planning process, and we wanted to take advantage, the commissioner wanted to take advantage of the construction season coming up, and he moved it ahead, and obviously we're glad that he did.
Analysts predict an 18-hole golf course will not only attract tourist dollars, but land developers as well. IRRB Commissioner Jim Gustafson says he already has some prospects.
What this is really all about is land development, really more so than golf. I don't think there's any doubt the golf course can be successful, at least modestly, and probably very successful, but what we're really talking about here is 1,000 home sites and a full development of a destination recreational facility that we hope will be the #1 in Minnesota and probably compete on a nationwide basis.
There are two different concepts for the construction of the course. One uses more land than the other. Both call for the ski chalet to serve as a clubhouse. If everything goes as planned, by August of 1994, Giants Ridge will not only be a haven for skiers and snowmobilers, but golfers as well. In by Wabick, Janine Johnson, News 6.
He'd be released under the condition he have no contact with minors, he have no contact with the victim or her family. And if he would ever leave home, probation would know about it, and they'd be at his doorstep. The treatment, if he would ever leave his home, it would be to go to treatment. So I think, yeah, I think the concerns for public safety would be satisfied.
What's the next?
The wrecking crew hired by UMD started with the outer walls. They raised the crane above the structure and lowered the wrecking ball in through the burned-out roof. Then they proceeded to knock the walls down from the inside out.
The intent here, Barbara, is to take the exterior walls to the outside and to take the interior walls into the middle section.
The wreckers want to keep the outer wall debris separate from the inner debris to contain as much of the asbestos in the middle as possible.
The strategy for taking down the walls first, moving them out away from the center, is one for asbestos containment, because the asbestos concentration is really in the fire debris in the center of the building.
Wreckers kept a hose running in the area of the wrecking ball the whole time to water down the asbestos and fire debris to keep it from flying outside the structure. UMD's wrecking contractor worked closely with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and Twin Ports Testing. They will monitor the demolition throughout the procedure. Once the walls are down, UMD plans to let another contractor have the debris removed. With the process they've chosen for knocking this building down, they're not exactly sure how long it will take, but the wreckers are estimating they should be done within 2 to 3 days. At Old Main in Duluth, Barbara Riles, News 6.
You're more than likely going to go to Chisholm House for 2 to 3 weeks. You get to learn that, well, the adult world doesn't take us very. A kid in another junior high school. So it's and finally,
these are health issues they're going to face. They're different health issues than we faced, and they need to have information to make decisions.
behavior made one went after one of his tormentors.
If they got it from an adult, they would kind of think, well, they're just kind of telling us what to do and trying to make us follow in their footsteps. But when they see it from a teenager, they're saying, well, they're dealing with that right now. And so they know that what they're seeing is real.
This door came out of alignment. Today I cannot either close it or lock it. I've had to nail it shut.
Margie Kepler says she's been living a homeowner's nightmare after a contractor remodeled her rustic cabin. The problem began 5 years ago when she received a $7,500 state home improvement loan for a new indoor plumbing system.
I expected that my house would be improved, but in reality you can see what's happened. My house is in a condition where if it can't be repaired, it may have to be replaced.
Kepler says after the contractor was done making his repairs, a whole list of problems occurred. She says the foundation of her home shifted, cracking walls and knocking doors out of alignment. She's also had flooding problems. A health department plumbing inspector found 10 state code violations. But perhaps worst of all, mice and other rodents have invaded her home through the rotted floorboards in her bathroom.
No, here's the slab, excuse me. There's the slab. Under here, it's not sealed. It goes, ooh, I almost lost my hammer down there.
But when Kepler brought her problems to the Koochiching-Itasca Action Council, the agency handling her loan, they told her they weren't responsible for her contractor's actions. Kepler says it will cost $21,000 to repair her home and $30,000 to replace it, money she doesn't have. She's written countless letters to high-level state officials, including the Attorney General, but her pleas for help have been ignored. Now she's suing the Action Council and the contractor, who has since moved to California.
I thoroughly love it out here, and I had pride and joy living here. That's been taken away from me. And yes, I am angry about that.
Near Nashwauk, Amy Rutledge, News 6.
There is a certain amount of asbestos in that refuse that they are taking, and then they will dispose of it as hazardous waste.